and chlorine. It is acidic. And you can neutralize this with sodium carbonate, the opposite. They use it for waste management in your sewers, waste treatment, and they use it for etching circuit boards. So it is the most reliable colorant that I've found. So I need a little small plastic cup. Somebody get me that? Something from in there, just a little small plastic cup. So I don't want to get it inside. I used to get it inside, but then it takes too long to dry. We don't have a lot of time. If I'm just going to do this to get a little color in the neck. So pretty simple. Thank you so much. Now we need some newspaper over there so we can set these out to dry.
Well, the newspaper's right over there.
Yeah.
I know because I bring that. Oh, you got some? Oh, yeah, it's over here. What do you want? Sapphire?
Yeah, just let me have one for right now so I can move this. Set it up. Yeah, that's it. And then a little color on the inside, that's all you need. If you wanted the inside black or dark, you could put a little bit of toilet paper or tissue inside, and that'll smoke the inside dark. Okay? You've done this before.
Toilet paper or tissue, you said?
Either one. Thank you. I'm just teasing. So the next step is we're going to wrap this in foil, and I'm going to show you which chemicals I'm going to use, and I'm going to talk about what that does. And for now, I'm going to take this off, so make sure you stand out of my waist in case I spew on you. I've evolved different processes, and this is the one that is the simplest and the easiest to apply. You get the nice thick foil, and you're going to get one result. Now I've got some really cheap dollar store stuff. You're going to get a different result because it burns up and it lets more heat, lets more oxygen in. So I'm going to wrap this piece two different ways. One with the nice heavy duty foil and one with the cheap foil. And we're going to take a look. So this is my experimental piece for tonight.
So what do you usually use? You prefer the thicker foil, I assume?
It depends on what I want.
Oh, okay.
Like when I'm fired in a wood-fired barrel, I may not always get the heat that I want. I'm getting variation in heat because it's wood and it's falling down, it's moving around. I like what happens with my colors and the differences in temperature. So this stuff here is really sensitive to temperature. The lower you go, around 1100, it'll be yellow. As you start to climb, it goes from yellow to maybe pink to maybe orange to red. It'll go all the way to brown if you go 1700. So I set the kiln at 13, shut it off, and I'm trying for that kind of mid-range. And then we'll look at that first load and people go, oh, we want more yellow, so I might lower it. You might want a little more red, so I might go a little higher. And it's all about it's all where it is in this kiln. All raku kilns are going to be different. Higher up, it's going to be hotter. Lower, it's going to be cooler, so you're going to see more yellows in the bottom. You'll see more reds in the top, and all the way to pink. Like the one piece that I have is pink.
So what temperature did you fire it to get the pink? You said brown.
That was fired in a wood-fired barrel.
Okay.
So no telling. It obviously was more than 11, probably not as high as 15, but I have put my pyrometer into the barrel and seen the parts of it are up to 1600. Other parts are much lower. So I crinkle it up, crinkle up my foil, because I want it to hold on to stuff. And you get the cheapest dollar store hairspray you can find. You would not put this on your body. This is just awful stuff. Hairspray. 99 cents.
Is there a reason why you went cheap hairspray?
Yeah, because it's going to stick all the chemicals to the foil, and how I fold it up, it's going to contact the pot.
It's like a grill cream, but in a spray bottle.
Pretty much. It's, I used to try to put it on a wet pot. It's more hassle than it's worth. This way, it sticks to the pot, I roll it up, no problem. So, we are going to start with some copper sulfate, and it melts at a lower temperature. Oh, it's got the really chunky stuff. In that bucket, there's a little Tupperware. It's got some glue. You got it, and you're all right. You're hired. So, Dan's got some really chunky stuff there. You can try it. We'll try a little bit on one side, and see, I have the fine stuff. They actually use this copper sulfate as a fertilizer. So Miracle Grow, you'll find this as a fertilizer. So I'm going to sprinkle some.
You're putting it on the foil.
Put it on the foil so it sticks to the foil.
With the sticky hairspray.
With the sticky hairspray. And that way when I fold that up, it's going to be stuck to the pot. And just for fun, we'll try some of Dan's chunky stuff and see what happens. I use Epsom salt. Some people will use sea salt. Epsom salt, magnesium, sulfate. All the sulfates melt at lower temperatures than the other ones that we use. Carbonates. So I'm just going to put just a little bit.
So what color are we expecting from the magnesium?
Hmm?
What color are we expecting?
You'll get white dots. You'll get
So
white
can
dots.
you talk about, and I'm not sure if I understand it correctly, obviously the different things that you're putting on are giving different colors. Is there like a general color chart?
Not really. I mean, there's a couple of guys online that will give a chart.
I mean, I know they're not exact, but like
Right.
ranges.
That's the thing, and it all depends on how hot it fires.
Right.
So, very sparingly, this is the large brown sugar, and this will give you black dots.
Brown sugar, yeah.
Yep, about a 1/4 inch black dots, which is kind of cool. And then the white dots give you this kind of galaxy effect. And the last time I did this, I used some coffee grounds. That'll give you some very fine, dark spots. You can see all of this is just minimal. Just minimal.
Do you ever use like eggshells or pine needles? Or
You know, you
anything
can
like
use
that?
anything in your garbage.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I can tell you that the stuff that I brought out for you today is going to be consistent, and you're going to get
What you want.
what you plan, get some results. I'm going to use a little bit of cobalt because it actually has to get hot enough. And sometimes in this particular kiln it doesn't quite get hot enough. But you'll find sometimes if your pot doesn't come out right, you bisque it again. Takes most of the color off. If you have black on your pot, it's too black, you can bisque it. The red isn't going to come off.
So when you're putting this on, are you doing it powder like you want the?
It's all random.
This is all random.
I want-
Sulfate
I
in
want-
one area and cobalt.
I want everything to be as random as possible.
Will the cobalt blue or will it do something else?
If it's hot enough, it'll turn blue.
Yeah.
But I have had it show up in a bisque fire afterwards when I was refiring a pot. I want to take the color off, and the bisque got hot enough for the cobalt to melt.
Okay.
And then I'm going to take 1 or maybe 2 horsehairs, and a lot of times it'll get on the pot and it'll kind of make a divider. It'll give you, you know, the decoration. So that's it.
Some people use copper wiring.
The problem with it, and I'll show you. Okay.
Yeah.
And the problem is it will stick sometimes to your terrace edge. Horsehair, I mean, not a problem, it burns out. Steel wool also is another colorant that people will use.
Right.
But if you put the steel wool on the ferric chloride, it has a tendency to stick to the pot and you cannot get it off. That's a problem that you have. And you can see where it melted and it gave me this green, this
Okay.
green line. So if you've got a pot that you haven't used ferric chloride, I've had some where I want it white and I'll put steel wool on it and then I'll come back and do horsehair over the top to add interest to it. But that's what'll happen is sometimes that copper will just stick to your pot.
Did you use the same chemicals for that as you did for what you did?
Yes, exactly the same setup. Exactly. And you can see the difference in the two pots, how the other one's really red because that has terracage and this one doesn't, and this one's really, really pink. Except for where this was on the side of the barrel where there was a lot of heat. And so I got a lot of black there. And that's fine too. You know, it depends on what you like. So this would be your Epsom salts.
Okay.
And you can see how they blew out and gave you these white dots. And then this would have been something that caused, you know, black dots, some carbon, something that got in there. This I really like.
Yeah, that's
Especially, this is what I really like, the effect that you get out of the Epsom salts.
It's,
That,
that.
the little speckled white spots. Okay? All right, let me finish wrapping this up. So basically, I'm just gonna hold this on the pot. I'm gonna get as much of this contacting the surface.
So you generally get more variation at the bottom of the pot. You generally get more variation at the bottom of the pot with less.
Not necessarily. Because, you know, you've got heat, you've got air moving around. Here I've got different thicknesses of foil. So when I take this out, you're going to see that the dollar store foil is probably mostly burn away. And that's why I'm doing this, so you can see what happens, you know, when you get more air in the pot. When you get a nice seal, you're going to get more red.
So
Because,
are you sealing it pretty tight at the top?
well, you see how I crinkled it?
Yeah, I'm talking about like at the top part.
That's how I broke the neck. I'm trying not to do that again. I squeezed it, it went snap. So by crinkling it, I've got air pockets. I've got places I can shake it around, I can get stuff to move around in there. And basically, that is ready to go. So if you have a pot that's dry enough, come over here, prep it, and I'm gonna start loading this kiln and get a firing going. So, loading the kiln. Random, get as many pieces as I can. I'm gonna fire this up to 1300. It'll take approximately 20-25 minutes. No hold, just a slow rise. That's it. So there's my experimental pot. There's a horsehair and the white dots, Epsom salts, and some sugar. And here's another horsehair. Give me this line. Sweet, very nice, done. Loose stuff off of here, anything that's left on the pot. And I don't want to use like a scrubby because I can cut through the color. So I either want to use a really soft bristle brush or a sponge. And it kind of gives you a preview of what that pot's going to look like finished.
You can get it wet.
Yep. So I'm going to get it wet, just use a sponge. Get all of the loose material off of it. Any chunks, but this one feels pretty good. And basically, that's what that pot's going to look like when I put the finish on it.
what do you use to, if you have chunks on there? Or a little bit more
A
aggressive?
little bit more aggressive bunch. This was really good. Everything came off. See, I really like this stuff. Where some oxygen got in here. White spots from the Epsom salts. This would be from the one horsehair I laid on the neck. That would be that there. And then we got like a little hurricane going on here. So really, really happy with that. Cool. That's it. Thank you so much. Now I'll let this dry for a few days. Put in the sun, really let it dry out, and then I'll start putting my finish on.
So when you do the finish, because that's what we'll do, it's just a thin layer.
Yeah,
And what do you apply it with?
foam brush.
Oh, foam brush, right?
Foam brush. Or one of those hockey
foam
brushes.
brush. Yeah.
You can use a hockey brush.
Yeah, foam
The-
brush.
yeah.
Foam brush.
Yeah.
And
So
then polish with the,
you
what'd you
just,
say? The-
no, you don't even have to polish.
Oh, you don't polish in
You
between?
just put one coat.
Put one coat, let that sit for eight hours.
What if I can't get back to it?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Doesn't hurt it. It's
It
the
has to be
same.
minimum.
Yeah, it's the same instructions that they give you for finishing your floor.
Okay.
It's right on there. It's right on there.
Okay.
8 hours in between coats.
Okay.
So I usually put 3.
Mhm.
If you don't want real shiny, cut it with 50% water. See what it looks like. You know, if you like more of a matte finish, cut it with water, because you can always come back and put a full strength coat on and make it shiny. All depends on your taste, what you want. Okay?
How long
Pretty-
does the glaze, the color actually last? You know, with raccoons, sometimes it does fade.
No, this will not fade.
This will not fade.
It will not fade. If I bisque that, the only thing that'll come off is the carbon, but the rest will stay. That red will stay. It won't come off.
And what if you put a glaze on it and just,
No.
it'll all be gone?
Won't necessarily
Take it.
take the glaze. So you've got a whole bunch of chemicals that are going to interact with your glaze, and you may not be very happy with what happens. Okay?